That's deep, man. I have a couple more questions. We'll be done. You talked about it a little bit. If you don't mind, can you just expound more on the history of, I guess, the involuntary conspiracy theory behind the gambling side of Jordan?
Yeah, there are certain things that were said in public. When Michael said, if Mr. Stern allows me back in the league or things like that, conspiracy theories fly on flags like that. I look at the facts and I don't care I have no agenda. I mean, obviously, if I'm writing a 700-page book about Michael, I've pissed him off. So I'm not I'm not trying to ingratiate myself with Michael. I'm just dealing with the facts. The facts are he was worn out. All of this stuff, he had laid his heart on the line, and the league did its investigations. He was gambling on golf down at Hilton Head and other places. He loved to gamble on golf. He ran with some shady characters. We've all done that. I don't gamble on golf. I've gambled on other things. I'm a hillbilly from Virginia. I run with my share of shady characters. I know an awful lot of people that are like that. But they investigated it. There was nothing there. I mean, there was no allegation anywhere at that time. And see, part of that was the job of the media. I don't blame the media for a lot because I am the media and I love it. But somebody should have had the clarity to say, well, if they're going to just suspend Jordan, they must have evidence he bet on basketball. But nobody ever boiled it down to that. They took a little piece of this, a little piece of that, and blew it up. And let's face it, that has driven an awful lot of traffic over the years on things. But just follow me through the facts a minute.
Right.
Michael comes back to the game. The league was talking. They had discussions about getting a fund of $50 million to pay him to come back. Does that sound like somebody who ran off for gambling? Now, when they got back, where were the Bulls soon playing preseason games? Vegas. I was there with them. Now, if you have a star that you've disciplined for gambling, you're going to come back and have preseason games in Vegas? Now, the only reason you could have suspended him legally is if he gambled on basketball. Nobody, and none of these conspiracy people and all their trolling and all their bullshit has ever come up with an allegation that he bet on basketball. He comes back. They're playing games in Vegas. We know about his father and baseball. The murder of his father. I understand we tend to think that MJ is not human. I was a crime reporter before I ever got into this. I covered murder trials. I've covered terrible events. You're a family member of a beloved person murdered. It's a stain on your soul. It never leaves you. Michael's off playing minor league baseball, grieving for his father. He comes back with all the anger of grief. He was an angry dude before, and so many NBA players are silently angry. They play from anger. Basketball is an emotional game, always has been since it was first invented. But he comes back, and they're playing in Vegas. He goes on, he makes billions more. He blows this up into a global enterprise. Okay, he's Michael Jordan. He's in Vegas almost a decade later. All-Star game. He is about to be voted on to be an NBA owner, the Bobcats. He's there the night before the Board of Governors vote, shooting craps like a madman. He's shooting craps with Pacman Jones. I did a long recorded interview with Pacman, who's a really good guy. I did a long recorded interview with Pacman about this. It was a pivotal night in Pacman's life. Pacman wins $1 million from MJ shooting craps, and MJ goes on to lose $5 million shooting craps that night. He's about to be voted on by the NBA Board of Governors to be an owner. The one event that's going to make him a billionaire. All these other guys that are keeping track of their money and trying to catch him, because that's now how they're keeping score. Magic Johnson sitting at $500 million. Man, he would love to get a piece of something like his own NBA franchise. This is no small thing for MJ. He's not even given his gambling a thought. Why? He's never bet on basketball. He doesn't, that's not the issue. If you look at the facts, there's nothing there that gives you any reason to think that the NBA would chase him off. The circumstances chased him off, pushed him over the edge. MJ continues to gamble as he wants. He's a team owner. If he were engaging in anything, it's very clear what you can do and what you cannot do. It is his money. He can gamble on what he wants, except basketball. And that's the cold truth. That doesn't do much for internet traffic and trolling. It's not sexy. It's not, but I mean, it's just the facts lined up. There's no way if MJ had been betting on basketball games that he would be an owner today. There's no way. They would have brought him back when they brought him back. And the only reason they could get rid of him, or they would have, the only way they would have gotten rid of MJ, who was already making them a fortune. And of course, their big gamble was, well, he's making us a fortune. If we ignore him, if he were betting on games, we ignored him and people found out we did that, that would be the ruination of everything for us. No, we would have nothing. But that's not what they were thinking about. There was no there was no evidence because MJ never bet on basketball games. He was not Pete Rose. Pete Rose is a good example. Pete Rose, I mean, I remember Pete Rose was a stirring baseball player. That dude played all out. I didn't even like Cincinnati, but I had to watch that guy play. If Pete Rose is still walking, dragging the chains around in the hell he's in, you know, this stuff, this is all internet puff. I like to deal in the real world, and anybody who deals in that, that's my answer to them.